well, years really, but especially in these last few months, and how much I have relied on my yoga practice to keep me steady in times of uncertainty. Um, and it's really a blessing when we have the capacity to be still in the eye of the storm. After years of practice, you start to be able to reap the rewards of your practice, and rely on the skills that you've cultivated in your practice. So I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. And so I want to start our practice today just honoring those who have come before us to show us the path of light through yoga or any other spiritual path that you follow. So let's take a moment to close our eyes and sit up straight and tall and be comfortable. So find a comfortable way to be in space, whether it's maybe a completely different posture than sitting. Let's just take a moment to first ground, get into your body, drop some weight down into the pelvis and feel the earth below you. Refresh and renew yourself with some healthy, good breathing. And as you come into the breath, let's really use the breath as a tool to ground us and center us, bring us into this moment and into the presence of our being. As you start to feel a bit more present in the here and now and grounded, let's take a moment to bow into all the spiritual teachers that we've had in our lives. So start from when you were very young, your first experience with someone who showed you light, showed you the path. Could be a pet or a sibling or a parent or a friend. Could be someone in your spiritual community. It could be your neighbor. It could be a stranger. So remember, our spiritual teachers do not always show up in, robes and titles. They show up in very unusual ways sometimes. So let's take a moment to start very young. And when you find someone that you remember who taught you the ways of love, or taught you the ways of grace or presence or spiritual connection with the earth or with the universe or with each other, taught you a skill of presence, mindfulness, gratitude, forgiveness. And just travel a little bit inside your mind through your life to mark these beings of light for you, and bow in gratitude to them. Deep, deep thanks for what they've taught you. Try to conjure them up, at least in their energy, maybe the twinkle in their eye or the sound of their voice, or if it's an animal, the way that animal interacted with you. And travel through the course of your life, and anyone who has guided you during a difficult time, anyone who has helped you mature in your spiritual wisdom and understanding. When you're ready, place your palms together and bow into all of the known guides that you've had, as well as the unknown guides that you've had, as well as your ancestral guides that you've had, both your own family ancestry as well as the lineage of yogic paths or any other spiritual traditions you follow. Bow into deep gratitude for those who have come before us to show us the way. All right, let's open our eyes and come into our practice, our physical practice. So let's go ahead and lie down on our mat. Okay, so come to rest. All right, and stretch your body out. And lengthen. Okay, so reach, maybe wiggle a little bit. Maybe you want to wiggle through your toes or your fingers, get to your tips. Whatever invigorates you and welcomes you into, a little bit of aliveness in your body. And then relax your arms and melt into the floor. Have, a couple of breaths of Shavasana where we release our bones, just dropping down. Take a deep breath here, in and out, melting. All right. And draw your knees to your chest and rock a little bit from side to side, swaying. Okay, feeling the sense of nurturance across your spine, across your sacrum. And let's swirl the knees, okay, one direction. And then swirl the knees the other direction. And just feel that sense of ease across the sacrum. And now let's pull the knees apart from each other and back in. And we're going to get into the hips a little bit in our practice today. Take a little tour around the hips. So just feel when you rotate your hips, your femur bones in your hip joints. What are you feeling? How does one side compare to the other? And then let's take a pause and keep the knees wide apart for a moment and have littler movements. So we're just drawing the knees an inch or two toward the chest and an inch or two away from the ribs, and just feel what's in that, kind of an extreme position, like your knees are pulled apart. All right, great. And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Take some time to feel the feet again, wiggle out the toes. Roll through your ankles, experience what you're experiencing. Find your breath, and then switch sides. Compression, deep compression in the hip joint. Open the other one up. Just feel free to move your ankles and toes around, getting into the body, presence here. And then relax and take both legs wide, arms wide, starfish your body out. Open yourself up, take a deep breath. Maybe your back leaves the floor. Exhale, knees into your chest. Maybe your back comes deeper into the floor. One more time, open things out. Spread your wings. Exhale, knees into your chest. And draw it in. Let's do it once more. Spread out like a big old cat-cow. Extend the spine and then round the spine. Feet onto the floor. Welcoming in some movement of the hips again. So rocking left and right with the knees. Just noticing, the movement of the back of the pelvis. So when I mean hips, there's a lot more than just the hip joint itself. Feel the relationship of the SI joint to the hip joint, the sense of your pelvis and your low back connecting to the hip joints. All right, and then let's go ahead and roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so finding your way onto all fours. Enjoy the feeling of starting to move the spine in some cat-cow. So arching and rounding, taking your time, relax your head. Let your head be a part of it as it drops down. Let your tail be a part of it as well, arching the back a little bit as you lift your chin and touch your teeth. Moving through the paces of each vertebrae, opening up. Then swirl around any way you want to swirl around. So hips and shoulders and anything in between that want to move. Find your breath coming into the body. All right, and then stretch back towards child's pose. Walk the hands out in front of you if it's comfortable to do so. Try to stretch even more, just a little bit more in there, whatever's available to you. Relax your head. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. How is the compression in your hips feeling? Can you drop some weight down into the pelvis as you open up the side of the body? Soften your skull. And then back to center and inch over the other way. Relax your forehead. Soften your eyes. And then come back to center, come up onto all fours. Let's wake up our spine with a twist, reaching that arm up in the air, exhale, and sliding your shoulder down. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, open the back of the body up a bit, femur bones coming back. All right, and then inhale and reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Change sides, arm lifting up. Slide that arm through. Deep breaths. Relax the neck. Enjoy the space between the shoulder blades. And then inhale and reach that arm all the way up. Again, come back onto all fours. Curl the toes under and lengthen yourself up to dog pose. So feel free, the eyes can close here, kind of come into that deep inner space where you're melting a little bit, inverting a little bit, feeling that sense of ease. You know, when your head drops below your heart, there's some deep ease that can be found here. Breathing in, breathing out. What worry or stress can you release? The earth can take it all, so just melt down, feel the yielding. Let the jaw release, let the eyes release. Feel free to wake up the legs a little bit as you're letting go. So you can pedal the feet, you can sway the hips, move into the ribs, anything your body is needing. All right, great. And then walk forward and come into Uttanasana, fold in half. Relax the spine, let the shoulders soften. Feel free to wiggle your hips around, move your head. Deep breaths. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing longer. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, bring the arms to the sky. If that's feeling good to you, open your heart. Then cactus open your chest. Feel that sense of space. And then release and come forward with your forearms. When you open them back up, spread your palms out, stretch through your wrists, let those forearms open up a bit. And let's go back and forth with our hands just a little bit. And you can feel free to circle. Whatever's feeling nice, you can flip your palms up and then pull your fingers down. Whatever's going to open up some of those nerve channels through from your shoulders to your wrists. And then swing the arms up. Big breath. Swing them around one more time. Big open shoulders. Exhale and fold forward. Relax the spine. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back. Right foot's coming forward. Finding your way to a lunge. Okay, finding your breath. Breathe deeply in. Breathe deeply out. And as you go here, you're going to find our back knee coming down onto the ground. Rise up, reaching the hands either onto your hips, or you can lift them up in the air, whatever feels really nice in your body. Try not to fall into the posture. See if you can feel that sense of hugging front heel and back knee toward each other to support the openness of the pelvis and the openness of the spine. We're not collapsing. Arms go anywhere. Arms feel happy to be. Breath, happy to be. Okay. Great, and then release the hands down onto the ground. Come onto the inside edge of your foot. And before you lift your back knee, if you even decide to lift your back knee, feel the compression in your front hip. So drop into the weight, let gravity compress a little bit into that hip joint. Open up the chest. And if you're ready for a little more length through the hip flexors of the back leg, you can curl your toe under and lift that thigh bone up. Widen the sit bones. You can keep your knee down or up off the floor. Shoulder blades are away from the ears, finding the breath. All right, let's go ahead and step the front foot back. Dog pose again. Long spine, adjust your hands, adjust your feet. When you're ready, come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. So there's a lot of strength that can be had here. Find your breathing, stabilize, feel that sense of connection through your whole center line of the body. And then put our knees down onto the ground, come to rest. Inhale, cobra pose, shoulders down, chest open. Exhale and release. One more time, open the chest. And then exhale and come back down. Come up onto all fours, find dog pose again. When you're ready, left foot comes forward. Take your time. Extend open the heart. All right, let's put our back knee down onto the ground. Open the chest. When you're ready, you can rise up and take your arms wherever your body needs them to be in space. So you can be all the way up with your arms, you can be out anywhere that feels really nice. Stabilize, so hug your front heel and back knee toward each other. Start to invigorate, use your inner thigh muscles, use your glutes, so press the heel down a little bit too, not just pulling back. And release the hands. Inside edge of your foot, you can turn your foot out a little bit if that feels good to you, and you just adjust however you need to. Open the chest. And you decide, once you get here, and feel that compression of the front hips, drop into the hip a little bit. Let the femur bones sink into the joint. Once you have that, decide whether you want the back knee to lift or the back knee to stay down. Widen the sit bones no matter what you're doing. Drop the front hip toward the floor. Find your breath. All right, and then as you're ready, let's go ahead and step back one more time to a plank. Hold yourself steady here again. Feel that sense of unity where you're integrating into the center line of the body. The shoulders are away from the ears. Inner thighs spiral up toward the sky. Hug an imaginary block between your thighs. Keep that midline all the way down to your ankles. And then put your knees on the floor. Come down onto the ground. Walk a little bit. I'm on a rug, so it doesn't matter. I have enough cushion underneath me, but if you're not, walk over to the right side of your mat and bring your left knee up high toward your armpit. Come into Sphinx pose with your arms. If this is too much of a back bend, check in with yourself. Make sure that you're not pinchy in your SI joint or in the low back. So if you can't stabilize, then lower your body down. You can always put your head on your hands. So you go wherever your body says go, where you can deeply compress that hip joint. Open the chest, finding the breath. And we're gonna come to lie down and spring that arm out in front of you and open up to a twist. So roll onto your back, let the knee leave the floor, stretch open through your chest. Deep breaths. And then swing back around. Come onto onto your belly again, and let's switch sides. So scoot over to the left side of your mat, bring your right knee up, and feel both the extension through the back hip as well as the compression and flexion in the front. Sphinx pose your arms or go lower. Stabilize through your spine. So make sure you're not taking the brunt of this by compressing right where your lumbar spine and your sacrum meet. See if you can keep that space spacious. Breathing well. Put a little extra weight of gravity down into the hip. And then when you're ready, come turn this one into a twist. So opening yourself up, letting the knee leave the floor. Bring your hand onto the ground. Turn your head if you want. Big breaths in. Big breaths away. All right, swing back up onto all four as you go. Take your time to find any kind of movement that feels right. So you can sway through your sides, move around in your hips, make sure you remember you have a neck too. Curl the toes under and find your way to dog pose. Feel the sit bones lift and widen, inner spiral of the thighs. Try taking your toes and turn them in just a little bit, like pigeon toe yourself, so the inner spiral feels a little bit more natural. All right. And then we're going to walk both our feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold. Grab a block if you feel like you need a block between your thighs. You can always put a block there for a chair pose. So let's start to warm our muscles. So you can have your legs hip width apart with a block, without a block, or you can have your legs together. You decide. If your knees are at all vulnerable, a block between your thighs can be very stabilizing so that you can do the work of the pose without feeling like you're just trying to figure out how to make your knees not hurt. Draw your femur bones back into the hip joints. Widen the sit bones. Feel a neutral curve in your lumbar spine. So if you tend to overarch, then drop the tailbone a little bit toward the floor. If you tend to underdo and you're tucked a little bit, then see what you can do to draw the femur bones back more into an anterior tilt of the pelvis. Put your arms anywhere that's comfortable for your breath and your body. Full inhales and exhales. Relax the shoulders. Start to feel some heat grow. Enjoy the heat. No, like visualize blood flowing to your joints, to your muscles. Long exhales. Stay present for what is. All right, and then go ahead and stand up straight and tall. Reach your arms up to the sky. We're going to take that block out of there and we're going to come directly into a squat. So feet can be on the edges of the mat or just before or after the edges of the mat. When you come down, you can have your elbows on top of your knees. You can have your elbows inside your knees. Decide which is better for your body. The toes can point straight or turn out a little bit. Once you're here, feel the roots of your feet drop in. All 4 points of your feet rooting, yielding. Compress into the hip joints. Widen the sit bones back. Stick your stingers out. Open the chest and spread it broadly. Finding some heat, maybe some different areas than you found in chair pose. Okay, and then inhale and reach your arms out. Take a breath. Take your legs even wider. Actually turn to the long edge of your mat so you have mat underneath you if you haven't done that yet. Take your legs wide, and we're going to just go to one side first and then the other. So come down into your right knee as flexed as it can go in the hip and the knee. So depending on your knee flexion, you may not go as low as this. You can always support your hands with blocks if you need to. Open up the chest and spread things out. Your other toes, your left toes are pointing up toward the sky. It's very easy to hyperextend your straight leg here, so have a little awareness in that knee. And then we're going to swing over to the other side. Let your arms help you. So we can crab walk yourself over to the other side. Any depth of flexion that you have available in your hip and your knee. I'm on my toes. My heel is not on the ground in my, on the side that you're bent. Other toes are pointing up toward the sky. Be mindful of hyperextension. Breathe deeply. Shoulders are soft. All right, and now we're going to come center to that. So we're in like super wide squat. So our feet are turned out like goddess pose. Hold on to your inner ankles. Press your forearms and elbows into your shins or inner knees and open things up. Try to get your sit bones to drop down and wide. So we're dropping our pelvis, but we're sticking our butt out a little bit. So find that teeny bit of an anterior tilt. Feel the compression in your hips. Open the chest. Deep breaths in and away. Are you able to evenly weight your feet? All right. And then turn your toes forward and melt into Padrita. So open up the hamstrings a little differently. Relax your head down. And then swing back to the front of your mat for dog pose. Let your hips become a little bit more neutral, feeling a sense of ease. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana, fold in half, feel the compression in your hips. And then when you're ready, rise up. Come to stand, feel the roots. If you're dizzy, just do what you need to do to let it pass. You can always squeeze toward the midline. We're going to ground into our right foot and pick up our left knee. Have the knee in line with the hip. Find your breath and spread your arms out. When you're ready, we're going to open the leg out to the side. So only go as far as the rest of your body can stabilize. So if you feel that your standing leg gets compromised or your torso starts to turn, then back away from the openness of your hip. Find your breath. Reach the arms up or out or anywhere that feels good. The standing leg knee is not pushed back. Yield into the earth. Find your breath. What's holding you here? And then come back to center and now twist in the same posture. Drop the shoulders and open the chest. Deep breaths in here, soften the shoulders down. Be mindful of that standing leg. The thigh bone moves back. Our obliques are active and working. And then come back to center and plant your 2 feet. Feel free to jump, hop. You can bounce, you can sway, you can do anything that's going to make you feel at ease in the body. Let go of the balance. Take a deep breath, yield yourself. And let's find the other side. So root into the left, bring your right knee up. Find what's stabilizing you. Try not to hyperextend the knee. Keep the hip in, the thigh bone back, the knee soft, the feet broad. Bring your arms to help. Where do they want to be? When you're ready, open the right knee out to the right. Stabilize. Did you lose your standing leg at all? See if you can stay uniquely stable. Stabilize through your core as well. Find your transverse abdominis. See if you can feel your knees hug into your hips. Find your breath. Arms go anywhere you want them to be. What's helping you breathe? What's helping you balance? Relax your shoulders. And then swing that knee back into the center line and find a twist. Renew your stance. Open up the breath. Relax the shoulders. Drop things down away from the ears. The shoulders don't have to work so hard. Feel the feet broaden. Thigh bone back, hip in. And then relax and lower that foot down to the ground. Both arms up, take a deep breath. Exhale and fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Hold shins or thighs, press things back. Exhale and melt. Step back to dog pose. Feel the long line of your body. Enjoy the inversion. Melt the head. Inner spiral the thighs. When you're ready, lift the right leg up in the air and stack the right hip. Just feel some openness through the front of the pelvis. Square the hips again. And then bring that foot forward, come to a lunge. Rise up to crescent lunge, reaching the arms to the sky. Feel the hip flexor of that back leg, get a good old stretch. Find your breath and turn and open up to the side. Point your feet straight for a moment. Turn your toes out. Let's come back down into that deep squat that we had before. So lower your torso down, widen your sit bones and stick your butt out. And then from there, start to climb upright. You can keep your hands on your knees. Perhaps you want your arms to go somewhere else. We're gonna find goddess pose. So hopefully the work we've already done has warmed your hips up for this. Feel free to rock from one side to the other until you feel balance. Root yourself. Feel the 4 points of your feet. Spin the jar lids of your feet so toes turn out, heels turn in a little bit. It's all isometrics. Find your breath. Drop down a little bit deeper. See what your knees are capable of. Are they holding you well? Do you need to change something? And stand up straight and tall. We're going to do this a couple, 3 times with the breath. Take a deep breath in, long arms and legs. Exhale. Come down to squat. Arms up. Exhale, goddess. One more time. Stay again. Find your way. Shoulders are back. Open the chest. Open your knees. Find your breath. And then stand up. Turn your feet straight for a minute. Starfish your body open. Find your breath. And let's just take a simple side stretch here. Reaching one arm up in the air. Either way, whichever way you want to go first. And then exhale, go the other side. All right, come back. Turn your feet. Virabhadrasana 2. So remember, when we come into these deep hip openers, we have to be so mindful, especially when we're doing one leg, unlike goddess pose, we're doing different things with the hips. So you want to have that sense that you can stabilize with your front leg. You can always put your block against your shin against a wall. But more importantly, with this back leg, let it turn a little bit. Let it turn in a little bit, and then take the thigh bone way back. So we are stretching the psoas. We are opening and extending that leg, but not from a place of, like pulling bones apart, like the wishbone thing. We want to have a sense of ease in our ligaments. Bring the arms out to the side. Drop your shoulders down. Feel the roots of your feet. With that front foot, light up those underbelly muscles under your glutes. Spin the foot so toes turn out, heel turns in. Arms go where arms go. Finding breath. Opening the chest. Relax the shoulders. Stay present for what you're experiencing. Get some juice to head flood into your legs. All right, then come back up. Let's spin back to the front of your mat. Dog pose. Lengthen through your spine. Inner spiral the thighs again. Feel that sense of neutral. Inhale, come forward into a plank. And then lower yourself down to the ground. Any back bend that you feel you want to be doing, find your way up. Breathe your way down. Come back up onto all fours. Have a moment of releasing the spine, and then come into an anterior tilted child's pose. So lift and widen the sit bones and drop your hips down. Enjoy the soft compression now. Just let things rest a moment. And then as you're ready, come back out of there and come up to dog pose. Feel your feet. Spread open the bones. Enjoy the inversion. Left leg lifting high. Stack open the left hip. Feel the sense of space. Deep breaths. And then when you're ready, square the hips. Bring the knee toward the chest and plant your foot down. Push off your feet. Rise up, crescent lunge on this side. Enjoy the open body. How does that back hip feel? Are you able to stretch open the hip flexors? Where do you want your arms to be in space? Deep breaths in and away. Shoulders soft. Melt what you can. Press your heel into the ground. Feel the back of your leg work, not just the front of your leg work. And then when you're ready, we're going to turn and open up to the side. So come into Virabhadrasana 2 on this side. See what it feels like to open your body up. And like I said, on the other side, if you ever feel unstable with your knees, put a block against your shin, against furniture or against a wall, so that you're stabilizing your knee, so that you can come into some depth and work into the hips without it all just being restricted, because your knee can only bend 1 inch without pain. So there's ways to support yourself. Remember that our props are not crutches. They allow us to find postures that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get into. Relax the shoulders down, open your breath. Feel the roots of your feet. Spin your darlet of that front foot. Light up some of those deeper muscles and enjoy the lightening that happens in the body, that sense of effort, the blood flow that's moving through you. How's your back hip? Do you need to turn it anymore? Is your back knee tweaked at all? Are you having a sense of unity where the lower leg and the upper leg are in harmony with each other and not going in two oppositional directions? You don't want to put any torque on your knee. Breathe, relax the shoulders. All right, and then we're going to come out. Turn your feet to the long edge again. Hands can come down on blocks or on the floor, wherever you go. Let your hips relax for a moment. Soften your body down. Melt here. All right, and then come on up. So you get to decide how deeply you're going to go into this, because we won't have blocks to support us, to support our knee joints and our hip joints. So everybody's a little different. We're going to come from one side to the other. So you can do, the full circles that we sometimes do, bringing our arms out. You can just swing your arms to the side. You can do any kind of movement that feels really good in the body. You can stay low and swish from one side to the other. You can come up and come down and up and down. So find any beautiful movement pattern that feels fluid and graceful and strong. Allow yourself to be supported by these strong muscles in your body, your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, all the muscles in your hips. They like work, whether your mind thinks they like it or not, that they enjoy it. So give them the job that they were built to do, to bear weight, to hold you. If you're going one direction, go the other. If you're doing some circles, spin around the other way. Do anything that feels good. Move your body. Feel the power that lives in you. Are you breathing well? And we're going to end this with one final deep squat like we've done before. Hold the inner ankles, squat down, and then push off and rise up into a starfish. Open your body. If you're dizzy, come back to the midline, squeeze in, and then swing your hands back to the front of your mat and come into dog pose. Feel this as a release. Let your head drop below your heart, inner spiral your thighs. Sit bones are coming high and wide. Breathe well. Decide whether you want a vinyasa, where you come forward into a plank for another back bend, maybe up dog or cobra, or perhaps you want to put your knees down onto the ground and do a cat-cow. Perhaps you want to rest in a child's pose. So find your way into whatever it is that your body's calling for. Breathe your way wherever you are. Once we are all back together, let's go ahead and walk forward. If you're in child's pose, come up, Uttanasana. Relax, bend your knees. Rise up, close your eyes for a moment. Feel how the work of your lower body, your legs, ground you to drop and yield. Breathe deeply. Feel your strength, your sense of perseverance, your ability to stay grounded amidst uncertainty. Feel that sense of deep connection with the earth. Root your right foot in. Let's bring our left foot and come into a figure four. This will be the last of the standing poses. So, don't hold back from giving your effort into the posture. Squat down, one-legged squat here, sit bones wide, and you decide what your upper body needs. Arms up like chair pose, arms out, maybe palms at your heart, and you're moving forward. If you decide to bend forward, try not to round the spine. Still have an anterior tilt to the pelvis. Heck, if you're feeling really, like superstarish, go ahead and find an arm balance here. You can bring your hands onto the floor and wrap your leg, your foot around your upper arm and come into an arm balance. So that's like, a huge thing. So don't feel obligated, but there's always places to play in your practice. All right, and then when you're ready, come on out when you're ready. Come on out and open yourself up. Breathe well and relax for a moment. Move your body around, jump, sway, anything that's gonna let go of the balance. And if balance is what holds you back, if you feel frustrated by poses like that, stick your butt against the wall so that you can do the pose and take the balance out of the equation. Put your hands on something. So it's okay to have help. You don't have to do this hanging out in space all by yourself, okay? Cross your foot over, other side. Find your breath, squat down. You might notice if your hips are tight that you kind of push your hip off to the side or round your back. There's also sorts of ways we try to squirm our way out of this. So see if you can neutralize. Hug in, find the midline, and then widen the sit bones. And the anterior tilt of the pelvis is appropriate here. So we want a neutral lumbar curve instead of rounded. Feel your feet spread. Feel your collarbone spread. Find your breath no matter what you're choosing to do. Any position with your arms, any depth of coming lower toward the floor. Sometimes it's actually easier to bring your torso down, the elbows on your knee. That can be easier. Find your breath, whatever you're choosing to do. And if you fall out like I just did, that's okay too. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, playing, find your way back to stand. 2 feet on the ground. Anything that helps you release. You can jump, you can sway, you can shake things out. Okay, whatever you need. And then come into the groundedness. Again, feel that sense of deep, deep connection. Soften your knees. Let your breath travel to the bottom of your feet. All right, lift your arms. Open yourself up. Exhale and fold forward. Let's come down onto your knees. Sit in Virasana for a moment. So you can sit on your heels. You can sit on a block between your heels. You can sit on 3 blocks between your heels, blankets, whatever feels good. Let's just have a little bit of compression. So if Virasana, with your feet right next to your hips isn't so comfortable for your knees, just sit with your legs straight out, but be up on the edge of something. And then take your hands and press into your thighs. And just press down your thighs. So the heels of your hands, just taking a moment's turn, see if you can sink all the way to your bone. Feel your bone. These big, huge femur bones. You might lean forward a little bit when you get closer to your knees. And then after you do one pass, find your favorite spot and just hang out there for a moment. Feel some grounding, lift the spine if you're able. And then relax that and just feel the roots. All right, so I'm going to come out for a moment. Come onto your shins. Blocks are really nice for this. Stick your left leg straight out in front of you. Now, you can have 2 blocks. If you need more height than that, stack one block and then the other block on the inside edge of your leg. Okay, drop your hip down. Try not to hike your hip out to the side. See if you can hang a weight off your sit bone. Lift the chest and let's twist one more time to open up here. Drop the head of the femur bone. Imagine you still have your hand releasing your femur bone down. Opening the chest. And then come back to center and switch sides. All right, so you can support 2 hands to find this pose in the beginning, or you can support with one hand on the block. So try to stay, it's so easy to, when we try to hide away from our hips, we do all sorts of weird things. We could stick our hip out to the side or do some funky stuff. Drop the hip down, try not to hyperextend the knee. Lift and open your chest as you turn to the side. Maybe your arm comes out, maybe your hand stays on your hip. Try to sink weight into that sit bone. Stretch through your foot. All right, then come back around and release. So we're going to either do pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. Hopefully with everything that we've done to really get you into the juice of your hips, this will be something comfortable for you. So you decide whether you're going to be on your back. For reverse pigeon pose, right foot on left knee and coming here, or if you're going to be in a full pigeon. And if you're choosing full pigeon pose, be really mindful to support yourself. So there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can stick a blanket underneath just your sit bone, or you can take a blanket underneath both your right sit bone and your left thigh. So you decide how you want to be in pigeon pose. Extend the spine and find your way down. Support your head. When you get here, make sure that your legs are not hiding away from the pose. So inner spiral your back thigh. Leg is straight. Deepening the breath. If you feel supported enough, you don't have to do that internal hugging, but if you are hanging in space, you want to hug your knees toward each other and widen the sit bones. So make sure, check in. Are you supported enough to let go? Relax your head no matter what you're doing. Take some deep breaths. Come out of this side, swing back around. If you're on your back, you get to just switch legs. Maybe you're doing one pose on one side and your hips need something different on the other side. So second side pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. And find the length of your spine, support underneath your head. Make sure your pelvis is square. Inner spiral your back leg, support yourself.
Make sure you don't feel like you're hanging in space. And if there's any component of that, hug your knees toward each other. Widen the sit bones. Relax your neck. Start to melt the places that might be a little easier to access, and let those places that you find melting teach the hip. Let it illuminate the hip so that you can rest and relax and melt whatever's holding you back in this pose. Is your spine longer? Your shoulders relaxed? Is your face soft? Are you breathing well? All right, let's go ahead and find our way out of this pose. Come to lay down on your back. If you feel an incredible need for a thigh stretch, roll over onto your side and grab one heel and stretch. Let's all do this. It feels good. Go ahead and roll over onto your right side, grab your left heel so you can pull your knee toward your chest and then pull it back to stretch your quad. Your other leg can be bent and soft. Breathe well here. And then roll over onto your back, bring your knees to your chest, and then roll right over to your left side and stretch your right quad. Grab onto your right heel. A strap is nice if you can't reach. Breathe into the length of your quad. Stretch your knee, tailbone down, pubic bone up. And then come onto your back and bring your knees to your chest. Rock around a little bit. Breathing. Either take a official twist each side or feet down and windshield wiper your knees left and right, whichever you're in the mood for. Okay. If you're doing a full twist and you want one more outer hip stretch, you can lengthen the top leg and grab onto your pants or your calf or your big toe. Whatever you're doing, windshield wipering or staying, make sure you're breathing. If you're twisting, go the other way. If you're grabbing on, if you're straightening the top leg, make sure your knees stay together and hold wherever you hold. You can grab your big toe or you can grab anywhere that works along your leg. And then inhale and come back to center. Stretch your legs wide on the floor and shake your legs. So turn the toes in, turn the toes out, and activate this from your feet and let your thighs follow and just shake. Take a deep breath and melt into the floor. If you need support underneath your knees, take it. Otherwise, just surrender here in Shavasana. Well-deserved rest. Let your body be at ease. Sometimes our spiritual practices take us deep into quiet and stillness.
Sometimes our spiritual practices take us deep into effort and perseverance. So now's the time for rest, for renewal, for melting. Just trade in your bones, give them to the earth. Rest the eyes. Keep discovering your breath over and over. Begin to deepen your breathing again. Feel a sense of melting as you start to prepare to leave Shavasana. Allow this inner world to kind of expand and meet the outer world. Breathe deeply. Start to invite movement in whatever way feels best to you. Eventually finding your way onto your side. As you come up to sit, take your time. Find a comfortable seat. Support yourself in any way you need. Take a moment to relax. Relax your eyes. And one more time, bow into the grace of those who have come before you to show you the way. And the best thing we can offer in gratitude is to shine this light out ourselves to illuminate for those coming in our path, whether we meet them along the way or in the future. Let's just share our own light. Be the light you wish to see in the world. Share it and offer it. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.